My name's Andrew. I am the apprentice here at MBrodribb, and I got the job because one of the family actually recommended me for the position. So I started here as a trade assistant, working downstairs, doing a fair bit of fabrication and some basic wiring up of some of the cabinets and stuff like that. I was more interested in learning more about it, and so I asked the Brodribbs, is it possible to do an apprenticeship? And after some back and forth discussion, they said yes, and we signed me up. My apprenticeship is Certificate 3 Electrotechnology Electrician. For me, it was as easy as asking the Brodribbs, is it possible to do an apprenticeship, or can I do an apprenticeship under you guys? And then them saying yes, obviously, and from there it's a bit of Brodribbs asking the apprenticeships boards or a training organisation to sign me up, and then somebody came out, signed me up, and then I signed up to Holmesglen, to the Future Tech campus, which is in town on Arden Street. Friday in at trade school, doing a lot of prac stuff and a lot of theory as well. Some subjects apply greatly, like using hand tools and stuff like that, right at the start of trade school, like first year. That all applies here. The thing with trade school is that it's more based around residential kind of, or residential and commercial kind of wiring, so power points, lights, more stuff like that. Whereas what we're doing here is kind of a lot more complex. There's a bit of figuring it out myself, but if I get stuck on anything, all I have to do is ask, and either one of the engineers will help me out, or like Luke will help me out. I'd like to say that the scale here is that we do a lot bigger stuff, and we do kind of more variety of things as well. Whereas in a residential area, you'll go into a house, you'll do power points, lights, the main switchboard, and then maybe some networking for around the house if the client's asked for that. Whereas here we do a lot more control wiring, and it's definitely on a bigger scale. Kind of power outputs that we do as well is much higher. I actually come from a shop fitting background, so I've already done one trade as a shop fitter. I was really interested in the work here and interested in learning another skill. So all the way through, I actually got into university and found that kind of study was just not for me. I'm more of a hands-on person, and sitting down in lectures for long periods of times just didn't go well with me. So yeah, left uni, went and did IT and worked in IT for 3 years before I started my shop fitting apprenticeship, and did that and worked there for a while, and then I was out of work for a little bit after that, and then yeah, got this job. If you're interested, do your research on it. Like, look into it, ask anybody who you know who's in the field what it's like, how they enjoy it, like what things they enjoy, what they do, and see if you're interested in it. Because if you end up not being interested in it, then why would you want to be there? If you work out that you want to do it, start looking into how things are done, and just like, but it involves a lot of working with hand tools. Learn how to use hand tools. Learn basic maths. Most trades need you to be able to do some form of basic mathematics. Learn how to use a tape measure. As silly as that sounds, yeah, it's a big part of everything. Bit of wiring, decent amount of fabrication. Fabrication with regards to what we do is metalwork. So we take metal bar, cut it to length, cut chunks out of it so that we can bend it, weld it, potentially depending on who's working on it. We have polycarbonate sheet that we cut and fold up for shielding electrical components. Bit of the store stuff. So if Dennis here, Dennis, our storeman, isn't here, I'll get on the forklift because I've got my forklift license, so I'll do that and load and unload things, move things around the workshop when it needs to be done. Being able to use hand tools, power tools, being able to write neatly. It's always actually a really good one, especially in electrical trade. So I learnt last year, all of the paperwork that we write has to be done in caps, handwritten, because it has to be legible. And so you can't write cursive, you can't write shorthand or anything like that, because if somebody else comes along and tries to read something that you've written in a book with regards to especially telecommunications stuff in large buildings, they have to be able to read what you've written. Absolutely teamwork, especially here. Like if you're working for yourself, teamwork, you still need it, but probably not as much. There's a lot of heavy lifting that goes on. There's a lot of working together on jobs. One person doing one side of the cabinet, one person doing the other side, and you have to bring it together at the end of the day. At the start of a job, we get a set of drawings, and then we get the cabinets and all the components, and we have to interpret the drawings, which look a little bit like a bird's nest, tracing wires back from one location to another and making sure they go to the right location. I actually really enjoy the fabricating side of things here. It is one of the more challenging things, and I'm good at it. So yeah, I do actually quite enjoy it, and I'm doing more and more these days. Dennis actually taught me how to weld a couple of weeks ago, and so I've been doing a little bit of welding as well now. So normally he's the only one that does it, just because he's the only one that knows. So we've been pretty flat out lately, so having an extra person who knows how to weld is going to be good. There's too many. It's hard to decide between what I want to do. I'd love to stick around here, learn more, potentially do more site work, and also maybe move into testing the equipment that we build here. Take your time. You don't have to rush things. You've got a lot of time to work out what you want to do, and if you do come and be a sparky, or move into shop fitting, carpentry, whatever, I've changed trade. You can always do that in the future as well. If you don't end up liking what you're doing, you can change. It's not the end of the world. Or, if you become a sparky and you want to do more along the lines of what Ari's doing, or what the engineers are doing, then go to university. Use this as a way to get into university.